All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Dom and Gonz Sports Talk, the show where we not only talk about everything Baltimore Ravens, but around the NFL. And today we will be doing a Week 13 wrap-up. We'll be covering what happened on Monday Night Football with the Ravens over the Chargers, bouncing back in a nice way, winning 30-23, as well as other things that happen around the league and other games. But before we get started, it's Thursday morning, so I just want to wish all of you all a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're spending it with your families, eating some good food, and just, Thanksgiving is a time where you want to be together. So I hope everybody has a great holiday. And thanks for stopping by this morning, okay? All right, so let's start off with Monday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens took on the Chargers in SoFi Stadium, the third edition of the Harbaugh Bowl. John Harbaugh being the victor. Big brother beats little brother again, and the Ravens come away on top. So that's what we wanted to see. We needed a bounce-back win after that Steelers loss. And judging how the playoff picture is looking right now, it was crucial that the Baltimore Ravens came away with the victory. So we'll talk about the playoff positioning and seeding in just a moment. Let's talk about this game first, okay? So the Ravens offense bounces back, scores 30 points. Took them a little bit, 2 drives to get rolling. Kind of stagnant at first. That bad penalty stalled the first one as they were rolling on the first drive. Aguilar with a nice catch to put them at the Chargers 43, but then the penalty came up with leg whip. I mean, unbelievable. These penalties have got to stop. So that's another issue we'll talk about in just a moment. But yeah, the offense was pretty good after those first 2 drives. I mean, they kicked it into the second gear. Derrick Henry, really nice game after being shut down for the most part against the Steelers. So that's always what you want to see. When Derrick Henry is rolling, you just know this offense is going to be unstoppable. I mean, you could get the sense early on when they started giving it to him. He was busting out 10, 15-yard runs. I mean, just getting chunks, falling forward. The defenders couldn't tackle him. It was a beautiful thing to see. He did not get a touchdown this game, so that ends his streak of getting a touchdown in every single game. But that's okay, because he had a very effective game. So shout out to Derrick Henry in this running game for getting back on track. It just makes this team so much more dangerous when they're able to just run the ball so well and then they play action it. I mean, it just kicks everything up to a higher gear. And I'm glad the Ravens decided to keep doing it because they did fall down to a 10-0 hole, but they kept the run game going, they kept it churning, and kept Henry going, and they climbed right back into it. They didn't panic, and the offense was able to climb back in. So shout out to them and not panicking and not going away from the run. So that was good. Good job by the offensive play caller there, Todd Monken, and the execution. Lamar passing the ball, 16 for 22, 177 yards, and 2 scores. Pretty efficient day. I mean, he wasn't asked to be Superman because of how the running game was going. Shout out to Justice Hill as well, also tacking on that 50-yard touchdown to seal the game. But yeah, this was a nice performance for Lamar, another clean game. But yeah, he didn't have to be Superman, and he doesn't have to be Superman when the running game is working how it is. This is why they brought in Henry. We say it every week. This is what we want to see out of this offense. Take some of the pressure off Jackson in the passing offense to really just let everybody contribute. Okay, so it was a beautiful thing. Receivers. Okay, Zay Flowers had 64 yards receiving, I believe, on 4 or 5 catches. Bateman, only 2 catches on the night for 40-something yards, but he did have that nice touchdown right before halftime. So that was awesome. Nice contested coverage, got interfered with and everything by that Chargers defender, and he was still able to haul it in and give us the lead going into half. So that was awesome, okay? You just love to see that out of Bateman. Bounce back, make good catches, and he's got 5 or 6 touchdowns on the season. So he's having a pretty decent year, whether we want to do that or not. So I was impressed with that. Mark Andrews, another leaping grab, another touchdown for him. That would bring him to 6. And boom. But anyway, once he gets in here, I'll finish my point. Mark Andrews, another stellar grab, leaping it over a defender, They try to call it incomplete, but I don't know what they were looking at. I feel like it's Ravens versus refs every single week. But yeah, the ball was bobbling at first, but he secured it quickly, and then he was able to go corral it to the ground, nice and clean, 2 feet down, touchdown Ravens, and that put us up by a full touchdown. But then the ensuing 2-point try did not convert, so it was still 7 points, but that was all that we needed. So that was good. You kind of felt like the Ravens were pulling away after that at that point because the Chargers weren't really doing much. They had 2 field goals at that point when the Ravens were scoring touchdowns and more field goals. Good morning to you, Mr. Dom. Happy Thanksgiving. I already gave our little intro. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving. Celebrate it. Yeah, we'll welcome him into the show. We weren't sure if he was going to come in today, but he definitely is up and alive. So welcome in. Welcome in.
It's good to be back. A good Thanksgiving edition of Dom and Gonz Sports Talk.
Yeah,
We love to see it.
yeah,
A lot of football
yeah.
on
I
today.
love it. I think it worked out perfectly.
It's beautiful.
I know we were
holiday
busy.
season.
Yeah, right. I think it worked out perfectly. We get to come on here, wish everybody happy Thanksgiving, and before all the games start. So we're technically still in week 12 when we get in here to finish it up. So I was just wrapping up my thoughts on the offense. Everybody did a pretty nice job. Pretty efficient game, another 30-point game. And you just get the sense, also, when this team can score more than 28 points, 30 points, that is enough to win. And that is all we were asking for this defense, too. Don't allow crazy numbers, and you just allow them to a normal 20-some points, and this offense can carry you the rest of the way. And that's the formula for the 2024 Baltimore Ravens, is if they can score 28 to 30, should be good. We're going to talk about defense in just a minute. But anything cool that you saw on this offense on Monday night, other than the slow start, which is fine?
Yeah, the slow start, I mean, it was what it was. It definitely took more time than we initially thought to settle in LA, but we ended up getting it together. Again, I know you mentioned the Bateman catch. It's just really great to see him just getting these opportunities and getting those deep targets. I mean, he's a stellar player. So the moment you can see him just continue to get these opportunities, get those long balls, get those touchdowns, it's always great to see, especially for his confidence too going forward, because he's just another great weapon that we're going to need on that offense. Also, happy Thanksgiving, Jay.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the chat right now. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Again, I think we also have learned the formula. I mean, the formula we already knew, but for some reason the coaching staff seems to go away with it. Give Derrick Henry the freaking football. I don't know how much we need to stress this enough, but as you can see, when Derrick Henry gets over 20 carries, the game is always winnable. I don't see why we go away from that, but obviously that is one of our keys to success is giving Derrick Henry the football, wearing down the opposing defenses to allow us to be able to get big gains, especially in those later quarters, in that third and fourth quarter when we're going to need it the most. I mean, it set up a great run for Justice Hill for that 51-yard run touchdown that he got late in the game.
Yeah,
it was just good to see that happen. As far as the penalties still need to be cleaned up. It's not even a little bit of an issue. It's still a glaring issue that needs to be handled. But other than that, I mean, this team is showing you that they can bounce back. I mean, they're showing you that they can come back from down double-digit points and not fluster. And I think that's one thing we're definitely going to need if we're going to want to make a deep playoff run. I mean, they're 4-1 when trailing by 10 plus. So,
yeah.
I mean, you can say what you want about them, but they do not get flustered when they go down multiple possessions. They're going to try to go down there. They're going to try to get scores. And, Lamar's going to do what he always does, put the cape on his back and show that he can get us a touchdown when we need it. So that was great to see. That Mark Andrews touchdown was crazy. Did not expect. I mean, he's caught so many, so it's like, we're used to this, but that was actually insane the way he jumped up for that over that dude and just caught that. That was incredible.
I don't understand how he can make the catches, but then he drops wide open passes sometimes. I
don't know. I think he just likes the difficulty. I don't know. He thrives off the difficulty.
Same for Bateman too. That man could just he could be an amazing receiver if you just would make the consistent grabs. Yeah. That's all.
You're not wrong. But
he's improving this year for sure.
No,
just occasionally he'll just pop back in and drop an easy one.
We're just seeing him get those opportunities. We're just seeing him get those opportunities more now, which I wanted last year for him, and now we're seeing it. So it's just and Lamar talks about all the time, like he's just dynamic in what he can do. So if he can just continue to build that confidence with him, because you already know what Zay can do. So if you continue to build that confidence with him, I mean, I don't see how this can't be one of our best offenses. But just to finalize my offensive points, it was just great to see the offense be able to bounce back down 10 and be able to overcome that, get consistent, and just be able to win the game. So shout out to the
Yeah,
offense. It was a really good showing.
I I really want to rebuttal to something that you said earlier, but I'm going to give you my quick defensive rundown before I do so. Defense, again, stumbled at the gate, gave up free 7 points, free 10 points, actually, because they got a field goal in their second drive. But they tightened up, and they're starting to do this thing where they make adjustments in game, which was characteristic of what Mike McDonald used to do. And guys, by no way am I saying this defense is like last year. I'm not. It's not even close. But it's good to see Zachary Orr starting to do the in-game adjustments that you need to make in order to stall these offenses. Because after that 10-point, jump out of the gate in the first quarter, they were held to just 2 field goals all the way through to the end of the game. Okay, and I know the Chargers, they shot themselves in the foot. I know Quentin Johnston was just dropping balls, like dropping hot potatoes. It was awesome. Good to see it's not just us. And just other things happening, holding, and it is what it is. It's football. It is. So shout out to this defense for making yet another in-game adjustment to halt a pretty decent offense. And I know J.K. Dobbins went out, but they were losing the game. They're going to have to start passing, okay? And I know we say that Ravens got to stick with the run, but in the second half, when you're still just not clicking and you're losing, and the other offense is getting hot, you got to score with urgency. And that's what the Chargers had to do. They had to start throwing, and they're not built for that. They just don't have the receivers they used to. No Keenan Allen, no Mike Evans in his prime, no whoever the tight ends are, Donald Parham, Gerald Everett is gone. Gerald Everett he was pretty good for them last year as well. No Eckler out of the backfield. So it's like they are not built to just come back and do aerial assault on all these people like they used to. That was what Brandon Staley and the Chargers used to ask for Justin Herbert. But now that they don't have those guys, they have Ladd McConkey, who's decent, and a couple other guys. They're not built for that. So the Ravens took advantage of that. Okay, they went up big, forced the Chargers to have to play from behind, and that's how they came away with the win. The pressure, it was not that great at first, but then it started to crank it up a little bit. They started to get into Herbert, making him run out of the pocket, make him throw some crazy throws. Herbert made some nice throws last night. He's still a good quarterback. They did sack him, too, 4 times. So that was good to see as well. Van Noy getting back on the action. 8 sacks. I think Owe had another one. Owe's at 8 now. He definitely might get 10 this year, which is pretty crazy. We might have 2 guys get 10 sacks. If Kyle Van Noy could get 2 more, and same for Owe, we could both be staring at a 10-sack season for 2 of our guys. So that's pretty cool. But we got to keep the consistency going. We need to keep this edge rush. We need to keep this pressure going, too. I mean, Matabike could have had some sacks, too, but they were holding him like crazy. So shout out to the pass rush for cranking it up there in the second half and end of the first half. So you're seeing some good things. You're seeing some improvements from this defense. It's not where it wants to be yet, but you're seeing a steady improvement, okay? And if we can put on performances like this on defense, we can win games. We can win the big games, okay? Because this offense has got to carry the load. Just like I said, 30 points is all you need. If we get to 28-30, that should be enough to win, okay? So shout out to this defense. I know they let them score at the end, but that was such a BS drive. I'm sorry. They stopped them 2-3 times on 4th down, and the rest are just throwing flags. And it's just like, okay, flag. Ravens finished with 9 penalties for 100-something yards. 4 of those came on the last drive. 4 of those came on the last drive. So while it is a big problem, they need to fix that on the ones that they could control, especially. But I feel like the refs are out to get us, man. I mean, those pass interferences on 4th downs, the score would have looked so much more prettier. Why are you bailing them out? Why do you want them to go down That was not a good drive by the Chargers. It should have been 30-16, game over. But they ticky-tack calls let them win the game. Or not win the game, let them come back and try to win the game.
So I was a little bit annoyed at the officiating for that. I mean, I don't know what we're doing. I know we're undisciplined, but some of these calls are just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, what do we do? What do we do to the NFL? Why do we get screwed so much? Yeah, and I see Jason's comment. Thank God we took Zay in the draft. Yeah. Once again, reminding the world why Zay is the better receiver. Okay. I mean, he's just shiftier with the ball. He's better hands and everything, and he's just great. I'm glad we got him, even though I wasn't high on him at the start. So yeah, I'm definitely sold now. If you all don't know, but yeah, shout out to this defense. I'm glad they did what they needed to do. And then I got some news for you to go to rebuttal after some of your comments from last week, Mr. Dom. But before I get to that, what do you think of the defense?
No, I think I mean you hit everything on the nose. The defense again started off rocky, but I mean Zach Orr, I mean he made some crucial adjustments. The defensive pressure, I mean the pressure ramped up a lot later in the game, which was needed. Herbert got sacked a couple of times. He was able to get out of the pocket a couple of times too. I mean, you can't always keep a dynamic quarterback at bay, and that's just what Herbert is. He's a dynamic quarterback who can make stupendous plays when you give him enough time, and that's what he did. So you just got to credit him for his talent because he's just special in that way. The defense definitely got better as the game went on. Again, Trey White, another pretty solid performance from Trey White again.
He did get flagged,
I mean,
though, unfortunately.
he did get flagged.
I'm liking how he plays. I do.
I mean, same. I think he had another solid performance in a Ravens uniform. I mean, at some point you have to man up and say I was kind of wrong. I mean, not even kind of wrong. I was a little bit wrong about why the Ravens traded for him. So I mean, shout out to him, proving the haters wrong. I mean, you got to give credit with that. Shout out to Trey White.
Give credit to Brandon Stevens as well. A better game from him.
I was just about to say that too. A solid game for Brandon Stevens as well. Almost got flagged for pass interference, but then the refs picked the flag up.
Thank goodness, because that was a bad call if they would have thrown it.
Yeah, so they realized, finally the refs realizing the error of their ways. Oh my goodness. So shout out to Brandon Stevens. Good solid game. Stopping a touchdown when needed most. So shout out to him. Always really coming alive in this season. I mean, this is for the most sacks he's had since he's been on the roster. 8 sacks for him this year. It's very interesting with Owe because I feel as though he has all the tools to just be that dominant guy on the edge, but we just, over these past couple of years, we just hadn't seen it. But now he's on his way to a double-digit sack season. It's kind of like him gradually getting better as the years goes on. It's kind of like not fully like the Matabike situation, but it's almost kind of like it where we see him just gradually getting good over the years, tuning his techniques and really just getting to the quarterback. So I can appreciate that. I think he got flagged last night too for something. I forgot, but yeah, it was just a good game all around. Hamilton, Malik Harrison. I think he also deserves some credit for how he performed on Monday night. He, with Roquan out, I know Malik Harrison has been catching a lot of flack of recently, but he showed up when needed in those situations. So you got to give him credit for putting on a great performance next to Trenton on Monday night with Roquan being out. So, I mean, I think the defense stepped up when it needed to. Still some things we need to fine-tune. I know you say the penalties on that last drive definitely give me a pause for cause. Because as much as it can feel like the refs are out to get us, and honestly, I've also had that feeling sometimes too, that the refs just like throwing flags at us because we're the most flagged team. But on drives like that, especially God forbid they were already what if they were already at 23? You know what I mean? And they just needed that last touchdown to tie the game or go for 2 to take the lead. It's just those situations where it's like the team has some of those penalties are our fault, and we cannot give up those penalties on a drive like that. Because like you said, the game was supposed to be 30-16. That game was supposed to be 30-16.
I thought Humphrey made a nice play on Trey Palmer, and they just threw a penalty. I mean, both of those guys, the receivers were touchy last night, too. I mean, it wasn't just all Ravens defenders. I mean, the only one that I really would have agreed with, out of all those on the last drive, was the Jalen Armour-Davis one. like the one in the red zone, like all the way, like to give them a first and goal from the
to get
one.
to the
But
goal
like
line,
it's a lot of those were BS. I'm sorry, so I'm not gonna fault our team for that. Like especially the Marlowe one. Like I thought that was a good play. I mean, come on now, just end the game. Like why do you got to keep it going by calling the ticky tack BS? I'm sorry, I
I don't know,
disagree with
but
you there, saying that we
but
deserve
but
some. What are you saying, that we deserve some
I'm
of
not
those?
saying we deserve them, but I just think as players, this is why you have to, when it comes to technique, right? When it comes to technique and when it comes to wherewithal and awareness, you have to try to play as perfect, not as perfect coverage, but you have to make sure you are doing your best not to foul. Because when it comes to us, the refs will not hesitate at all to throw a foul. Like
Didn't
you got to
Marlon turn
freaking.
around for the ball?
I can't. I have to see the play again. I can't fully remember. It's been a
I
couple of
don't know.
days, but and even like the leg whip call, like we've had.
Oh, that was
like, come on, man.
complete
Like
bullshit.
the leg whip call,
Yeah.
like we have. Like this is more evidence now, more than ever, that you have to play damn near perfect football every game, and that's
Well, that's
a lot.
cheating. That's cheating for the ref.
And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm here with you. But at this point right now, that's kind of just what it seems to be. 9 penalties for 102 is egregious. It is downright egregious. And if we're not playing Justin Herbert and against that receiving core, I don't know if we come away with this win. So we have to make sure, and that's a lot to ask of the guys, and it's not fair to ask it of them. But at this point, I don't see any other way. Like, because the penalties are just so bad on our whistle.
Well,
Is
the
probably
ones
the
that we need
worst
to
whistle
fix
in
that
the
I'm
NFL.
thinking of the holdings,
The
the
offensive line
illegal
calls,
formations.
those are like, yeah.
Yeah, the false starts, like those, we can delay game or any of those. We can definitely control those. I mean, if they're just gonna, if the receiver's gonna touch you and the defender touches back and they call the penalty, I mean, there's nothing you can do. I mean, what are we gonna do? Just let them run by us? I mean, come on.
No.
I mean,
No,
the
of course
NFL has
not.
got to look at themselves in a mirror and check these officials, because I don't know what they're seeing on some of these. I really don't. And I get it, no one wants to watch ref ball or blame the refs for losses, but they have a huge factor in these games. I'm sorry, they really do.
I mean, they always
I
have
mean,
a huge factor in these games.
it's
That's never
but
to be
I feel like
disputed.
this year it's more than ever for the Ravens. I mean, they are just relentless when it comes to just penalties all over. How many fourth downs have we stopped this year? Towards the end of games, I can count at least 3 or 4 off the top of my head. To extend the game and let the other team come back. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Fix it,
just,
please.
no, I agree. And the offensive line the offensive line calls have to be adjusted. Like, you cannot have your possession starting off at first and 20 or first and 15
Right.
or second. Like, you have to be able to consistently just remain at first and 10.
Yeah,
and then just
that's where I
steadily
agree
continue
with
to
you
get
100%.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
and I understand what you're saying about the defensive calls too. I'm not saying that they're always doing it, but there are some cases where that is the case. So I'm just saying to fix those. That's pretty much what I'm saying, because I know Wiggins. I think Wiggins had, like, there's some cases where Wiggins has like some calls that are definitely warranted, or like sometimes. So it's just cleaning some of that stuff up, like that needs to be addressed. And luckily, we're gonna have the bye week soon, so I mean that's enough time for us to get our heads right. But man, we have to fix those penalties, because they are going to
If they're
bite
going
us
to
in
let
the
Joey
butt.
Porter do what he did against us in that Steelers game, they better not call anything else on us, because he was grabbing all game long. And that's what I'm saying. It's the refs. It is because people are playing like we're playing, and they're just calling it on us and not calling it on other teams. But
Our whistle isn't fair.
it's
I mean,
cheating. It's literally cheating for the.
we've never had a fair whistle. We just have
Go
to we have
watch
to
the
live with
Steelers
that.
highlights. Go watch Joey Porter. That dude is literally on everyone he's guarding, tackling them, grabbing them, holding, jersey stretch. It's ridiculous. But I'm sorry. All right, I think we should move on now. I'm gonna stop
No, I
crying
mean,
about
no,
the refs. But
I get your frustration. I get your
it's
frustration.
just so annoying that I feel like we have to play 10 times harder than the other squads when they could just BS their way to victories, like Kansas City.
I mean, if you just look at some of the hits on that Lamar's gotten, that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, they don't ever call roughing the passer or anything.
I think he's only gotten that. He's been hit a couple of times like, and I feel like he's only gotten that call maybe once or twice this
And
year.
we've given up so many of those. We've gotten flagged for
And
roughing the passer so many times. I can't remember how many.
I feel like
But
sometimes
a
if they're
lot.
aiming, like they're going for his helmet, like stuff like it's just he knows it. He knows he's rarely ever gonna get that call. So you just have
Yeah.
to live with it. And unfortunately, that's just what it is. Like, because the NFL is never going to hold the refs accountable. Like
This was
they've made so many mistakes this year, and it's not even just our games. Like, they've made so many mistakes this year, missed calls, incorrect calls. Like, it's always going to happen. So we just have to play our game. That's all we can do. We just have to play our
well.
game.
We'll see what happens. Just play our game, and hopefully they don't flag us.
Yeah.
For some of those. But anyway, yeah. Let's see what happens when we finish off the year, almost to the bye week. Ravens bounce back big on Monday. That was a huge game to put us to 8-4. And then the Browns gave us an early Christmas gift by beating those Steelers on Thursday night, 24-19. So now they are down to 8-3. So we are only a half game behind them. Well, technically an extra game because of the tiebreaker. But we get a shot at them again. But that was massive. The Browns winning that because now
that
the Bengals,
game will be for the division.
Yeah, it's looking like it. And if the Cincinnati Bengals can come out firing on Sunday, they play the Steelers. I think the Bengals have a real chance to win this game. I mean, if Burrow can play how he's been playing, I don't know if the Steelers can keep up on offense. I don't. And I know the Bengals defense is garbage, but like you don't want to get Jamar Chase going. You don't want to get Burrow going. Especially when you don't have an offense that is very high caliber. As we've seen from the Steelers, they're just okay. So you're looking at a potential double loss to division opponents if the Bengals can please just take care of business. We're really hoping.
I mean, the
this
Bengals.
can
If
just
you're the
take care of
Bengals,
it.
you're still I mean, I agree. If you're the Bengals, you're still technically you're not out of it. You know what
You're
I mean?
not
You're still
out
fighting,
of it, but it's not looking good.
and yeah, that's the point. Like, you're not
Yeah.
out of it. It's not looking good. But if you can start trying to stack wins, you're not out of it completely. Like, you start with the Bengals, of course,
Well,
but I mean, you start with the Steelers, of course, but.
Gotta
So
beat
they're
them.
going to be playing. Yeah, exactly. You're going to be playing. You're playing for your playoff lives right now. So they're going to treat every game like it's the Super Bowl right now.
Well,
like,
let's
you
see
have to. So
beat them.
yeah,
Do it.
I mean,
Do it. I'd be
I'm
happy.
not. Yeah, drop the Steelers down to
If you look at
8-4.
Pittsburgh's schedule, they've got another date with the Browns. They've got 2 dates with the Bengals. They've got a date with us. They got a date with Philadelphia
And
in Philly.
this whole stretch for Pittsburgh is
date
just
with Chiefs.
AFC North football. Yeah, it's just a stretch of AFC North football, and then they have the Chiefs on Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's not easy by any stretch. So thank you, Cleveland. And if the Commanders would have just knocked them off as well, and if we could have took care of business, but we wouldn't. The Commanders had it. They had
They
it.
did. They had it.
They
did
story.
have it. Yep.
It's fine. It's fine. The Browns did their job. So let's see if the Bengals do theirs, and I'll be happy. Playoff picture. We've got the Chiefs still at the top, 10-1, almost lost to the Panthers. It was close, 30-27. Bills are 9-2. They knocked off somebody bad. The Colts to keep control of that number 2 seed. Then you've got the Texans at 4, and those and then the Steelers are at 3 still. Due to that loss to the Browns. So you've got 10-1, 9-2, 8-3, and then 7-5 for the Texans, who don't look very good. And then you got Baltimore there at the 5 seed. Beating the Chargers, knocking them down, gives you more tiebreakers between the Chargers and the Broncos. So it was a huge win. We needed it. We really did.
And the playoffs started today. We'd be going against the Texans.
Right now.
Which I wouldn't
we got
mind.
Another huge game coming up this weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. So that's going to be absolutely massive game of the week. Barkley versus Henry, the top 2 rushers in the NFL. We'll talk about that on Saturday. But yeah, there was one more thing. No, I think I covered all the AFC teams. Yeah, that's all 7. You've got the Broncos, who are, I believe, in the 7th seed right now. And then you've got other teams scrapping it out down low. You've got the Dolphins, who are all of a sudden 5-6, 3 wins in a row with Tua. And then the Bengals are 4-7. So that's who they're going to be, duking it out with, the Dolphins and those other guys. But unfortunately for the Bengals, they have a tiebreaker They lost the tiebreaker to Chargers, and they've got a date with the Broncos coming up, so that's going to be a massive game for them as well for playoff purposes. But first, they got to win on Sunday against Pittsburgh. So we'll see what happens. So I think we all can see now that we've got our co-host Dom back on the Ravens bandwagon after just completely jumping off last weekend.
Okay.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I didn't
This
completely
team is not the
jump
same
off.
team. This team's going out in the first round. This team's doing that. I just want to elaborate on some of that. This team does win big games. That was one of Dom's points. He said we can't win the big games. We most certainly can win the big games. Let me tell you why. It's Christmas Day last year. What happened? Blowout against the number 1 seed on the 49ers. Week 4, who do we play? Buffalo. Blowout. Okay, we can win big games. Last night, I would say, was a big game, or Monday was a big game, and they came out and they performed well. This team can play well in big games. They just have to figure out the Chiefs and Steelers. I don't think that they are a bad team. I don't think that they can't win the big games. I just think they got to figure out those 2 opponents. That's it. That's literally it. And if we can start that by winning against the Steelers at home, right? So let's get it done. So are you back on the bandwagon now? Or
Wait, I would like
what's
to.
your rebuttal? I can't wait
I'd
to
like
hear
to
it.
dispute your counter argument. 1, I did not jump completely off the bandwagon. 2, I was saying I didn't say we could not win big games. I've seen us constantly win big games. I said in the last episode, I said we have to prove we can get past those 2 teams in order to make it. Cause oh dang it, my camera. Dang it, my camera again. Anyway, what I'm saying is you can't everyone knows if you want to get to the Super Bowl, you gotta get past the Chiefs. That is, it for a fact. The NFL is going to make sure the Chiefs are in the AFC Championship game. You know it. I know it. The whole world, NFL fans know it. Okay, so you have to show you can get past them. When it comes to the Steelers and their voodoo magic cheese, you have to show you can get past them. Right now, beating the Steelers means more now than it even did last year. Because last year we weren't looking at the Steelers like, whatever. And the last game didn't really count last year because Lamar and most of the starters did not play. This year, you gotta beat them. I feel like winning the division is super important right now. You lock it, and then 1, you lock in a home game, and then you lock in at least 1 home game, and then 2, you can finally lift the Steelers' curse that has been plaguing Lamar's career for these past couple of years. Like, it's just those
like
2
I said,
teams.
we haven't played them at home since 2020.
I mean, you have good points,
But
I'm just saying that you have to. Yeah. So my argument last time we were on wasn't the fact that we couldn't win big games. It's just the fact that for whatever reason, the Chiefs and the Steelers consistently beat us, and it's us beating ourselves badly in these situations.
Yeah.
Like, dude, so many bad penalties in that Steelers game, and then we allowed them the bad penalties, their turnovers. Derrick Henry hasn't fumbled in 3 years. When does he have his first fumble? With us against the Steelers. Like, for some reason, those teams get in our heads and they mess us up, bro. Like, you have to be able to overcome them, especially the Chiefs, if you want to get to a championship. And I think we can do it. I have no doubt that we can do it, but they have to show me they can do it. You have to show me that you're not going to make those same mistakes. You have to show me that you're not going to. And I'm with you. I think
this year has to be different. It has to be.
It has to be different. Because you cannot keep going in these games with the same mentality, because the same mentality has been getting us beat every time.
Well, let's crush those Steelers. I think we can blow them out. And then the
fights, there was 4 fights in that Steelers game the other day. 4 on the field. They mess us up mentally, bro. So do the Chiefs. The Chiefs do the same thing.
We should do that, though. We should get in their head. We can get in the Steelers' head. Let's get in Pickens' head so he can start fighting somebody and get thrown out. Use their advantage to use what they do to our advantage. I think we can. Listen. If we can win this Eagles game and go into the bye week, go into the Steelers game hot, I think we could beat them. I really do. At home, the home crowd.
They didn't score a single touchdown on us the last game.
And
They didn't score a
we
single
still almost
touchdown.
won the
And
game. How bad we played.
we scored 2 touchdowns and we still lost.
I mean, as bad as we played in the AFC Championship game, only lost by 7. So it's like,
see what I'm saying? None of these games we are getting blown out.
Mm-hmm.
For the people at home, the Ravens don't get blown out. It just we beat up the greatest opponent the Ravens have right now.
Knock on wood after that comment, please. Sorry to interrupt.
But yeah, the Ravens' biggest opponent right now is themselves. If they could just if they could just stop beating themselves, they can go on their way to win a championship. But it starts with stop making those silly mistakes, stop causing penalties, just stay consistent enough defensively, and if the offense can just keep doing what it's doing, we can win a championship. But it has to start here. Like, this is now the stretch of the season where the playoff scenarios start rolling around. Like, people can already clinch divisions and seeds and all that. We're getting to those conversations right now. So this is crunch time. We are officially in crunch time. Where we are, week 12, right about now.
Week 13 now starts today.
Like, this is crunch time. So you win these stretch of games, and hopefully we just got to come out on top. We have to see, but I just don't want our playoff fate to be in the hands of another team. You have to. I know it starts with the Eagles this weekend. I know we're going to talk about that on Saturday, but it starts with the Eagles this weekend, and you have to. And by God, you have to beat the Steelers. It's not even up for debate. You have to win that game. The Steelers have to play the Eagles.
Well, let's
still have to play them.
focus on Philly first.
Well,
Philly and New York are our next two opponents. But getting a win in the AFC on Monday was huge too, because that puts us to 5 wins in the AFC. That ties Pittsburgh with their 5 wins as well. I believe they're 5-2 or 5-3 in the AFC. So that is good, very good. So we're going to go back and we're going to listen to what Dom said in the last post game to see if he's actually correct about his take. But I remember him saying that the season is most likely already over, and we're gonna go one and done in the playoffs. So we'll see. Maybe that was just him in his emotions and his thoughts, but he doesn't seem. I don't believe he's on that boat like he was last week right now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I remember saying. Okay, I do remember saying because I was so frustrated with how that game went. Okay, like I was just like. Dude, if this team, I did say that if this team,
if they go one and done this year, there's going to be a lot of problems in the offseason.
And I don't think they should be addressed. I don't think we're one. If they put on that performance that they did against the Steelers, we're one and done. But if they can overcome if they can overcome the Steelers and Chiefs cheese, you can get a championship. That's really all you can do. Because you can beat everybody else.
This team is different. Why? Because we have Derrick Henry, and we've had year 2 of Monken, and this offense is it has been so dynamic this year. We've just got to keep it going. And we can I know that we play like crap in Pittsburgh, but we can right our wrongs in 3 weeks. But let's focus on week 13, which is the Philadelphia Eagles coming to Baltimore. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in this morning. We've got a lot more things to talk about coming up. We've already celebrated the Monday night. It's come and gone. Now we're on to Philadelphia just in a few days. But first, we got a couple of Thanksgiving games today. We've got the Lions on the Bears coming on at 12:30, followed by the Giants, Cowboys. Wow, what a toilet bowl game that's going to be. And then we've got Packers, Dolphins. So that actually might be a good game at night tonight. Dolphins fighting for their lives, trying to get to 6-6. With the Packers, I'm not sold on all the way with Green Bay. I'm not sold on Jordan Love. I know they blew out the Niners, but the Niners were like a life support team last week. And Love has been a turnover machine this year, and I don't know. I just don't trust them. So I'm kind of pulling for Miami just to, expose those Packers. But we'll see. Why? I shouldn't pull for Miami because they're AFC?
No. I mean, I see your points. No. It's just like with Jordan Love, it's just I think he's a really good quarterback, but again, he has very questionable decision making.
This is why I don't think he's that great. I mean, last year his decision making was way better. He's got like 16, maybe 17 TDs and like
I'm not
11
gonna lie.
interceptions.
He had that one play in the playoffs last year where his decision making was just. He
I
also
know.
has questionable
I mean,
decision making.
I'm just not sold on Love. I'm not. I'm really not. So we'll see. We will see. But I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgivings. Have a good time with your family. Eat some good food. And thanks for tuning in for some football talk, Ravens talk this morning. So we'll go ahead and get on up out of here. I won't waste any time. If you like this content, please leave a like and a subscription on YouTube. But I ain't gonna waste your time. You guys have a great Thanksgiving. Watch football games. Dream about Ravens football during your cat naps after your meals, because I know everybody's going to take some naps after they eat, because you're going to stuff your face. But have a great day, and we'll see you in 2 days for Eagles pregame. All right, this is Dom McGon signing out, and go Ravens.